This is Roomph Roomph Yoga, tape number 1. And before we come to the instruction, we'll do a meditation. We begin with the meditation exercise, which can be repeated daily. In fact, the whole object of Roomph Roomph Yoga is to quickly proceed to the deep yogic trance state within a few minutes. Meditations should get shorter and shorter and more frequent, so that over a long period they become continuous throughout the day. Most yogas try to get the weight of the brain down into the body. For instance, the Buddhist Vipassana or insight yoga watches the breath rising and falling in the abdomen until the mind identifies with the solar plexus center. Many yogas require that you fasten your consciousness on the tip of your nose or some other part of your body. This gets your mind in touch with your body. But in Roomph Roomph Yoga, we leave the body behind completely, because it is only a starting battery, like a motor car. Once you get it started, you don't need the battery. So, in advanced states, the body is placed in the mind rather than placing the mind in the body. For beginners, the other method is quite good for getting in touch with the multiplicity of all your cells, which are really only one body. But in Roomph Roomph Yoga, our purpose is to realize within 5 minutes or less that every part of our body, all its organs, cells and feelings, are an expansion of the original single egg, the nucleus from which you are born and into which you will eventually die. Let us begin by closing the eyes and shutting out visible light, the better to see with the invisible light of your consciousness, which is the light of the mind and the light of the whole body, which is sitting in the mind. Know that every part of your body is resonating in your mind. In Roomph Roomph Yoga, we do not visit anywhere in the mind, but we invite everything to visit us, to come to that place in our consciousness where all is actually experienced. So we begin by looking up inside our head at the spot behind the brow and visually seeing there all the parts of our body. We see the network of blood vessels and the nervous system stretching to the toes and fingertips like a huge telephone system leading into the main trunk lines and joining the spine. All the cells are fed by the arteries from the heart, and we visualize the bloodstream flowing back and forth into the brain and back again to the heart. These visualizations are done swiftly and precisely, without messing about thinking you've got a whole incarnation to fool around with your body. In fact, you only have the immediate now. Because all experience can only be felt now. So don't strain at this visualization exercise. Just let go and accept the fact that you don't know very much about the body anyway, even if you are an expert doctor. It is enough to know that your consciousness travels up and down your nervous system almost with the speed of light. As you visualize your nervous system, now flash onto the ends of your toes and visit the nerve ends in your skin and at the fingertips. Don't wait around for something to happen. Get your consciousness down there, quick, just like you would if someone stepped on your toe and gave you a pain. Flash down the nerves and you are right there, tingling in your toes and nerves. You are master of all these nerves. You are the supreme lord of your entire sensory system. And so you now send a command to your nerves, millions of them, scattered like tributaries of small rivers, running into bigger rivers. And the command is for the consciousness to withdraw along the nerves. The royal command to every nerve and cell is to push the energy of the body along those nerves back towards the source of cognition in the brain. From the mind, you send a command to the nerves to make way for the energy to flow back into the main trunkways, into the spine. Now, feel the flow from the fingertips, running like a liquid, transparent, like water, flowing with our consciousness, dynamically from the toes towards the head. This energy from the toes moves upwards to the magnetic part of the mind continuously. From the tingling tips of our fingers and toes, it moves continuously upwards, and our mind draws it up the spine, into the brain, and concentrates it there, leaving the body completely still and totally limp and relaxed. Now we give ourselves the super suggestion that this vital energy is flowing into a secret cave of Brahma in the third ventricle in the center of the brain. Its purpose is to recharge and revitalize the cerebrospinal fluid, to ionize it, and to make the energy of consciousness become very potent and alive. As our consciousness flows and continues to flow into the cave of Brahma, we begin to visualize the image of it swirling in a whirlpool of transparent liquid energy, revolving faster and faster until it disappears down a hole at the front of the cave. This hole is your pituitary gland, which activates all your hormones and feelings. You concentrate all this spiraling energy into this center immediately behind the brow to awaken the inner eye and trigger the psychic center in the brain. You visualize it disappearing into a tiny hole of the pituitary, just like water flowing out of the bathtub. It has an empty space in the spiral center. Gradually, the pituitary becomes very concentrated and secretes a wonderful liquid into the cave of Brahma, which travels across the floor like little balls of light. It is the most potent drug of consciousness, the ambrosia and nectar of the sages, who let it infuse their whole being with bliss and ecstasy. We can feel it rapidly sending messages to the whole body, which is sitting in the mind, in the cave. All the cells come alive and feel very light and weightless. Our body seems to lift up and levitate. We feel very pleasant, with our mind excited, but our body very relaxed. This excitement makes our cells tingle, and our head is flooding with the bliss and floating in an ocean of space. We do this exercise daily, and every time we do it, we speed it up to a few seconds, because it is really only a first step. This is where most people get to in meditation. But we want to go much further, using this energy and this feeling of well-being, this ecstasy and concentrated emotion, to get to the big-time stuff. The big-time stuff which is hidden in your own consciousness. Now we take off from there by letting that drug of consciousness flow to the back of the cave of Brahma, to the back of the third ventricle. We can visualize those chemicals and hormones rolling along the floor of the cave to the pineal gland at the back, and triggering off that concentrated state which creates a whole expansion of being. As soon as the pineal gland is touched by those neurotransmitter chemicals released and squeezed out from the concentration on the pituitary at the front and continuously flowing to the back, we can feel ourselves suddenly expand in the head, and our heart leaps up with waves of uncontrollable emotion. We experience the meaning of the saying, "Our heart leapt into our mouth." Something swells up, and we feel the presence of a very great, beneficent being within us. And our consciousness begins to expand from that single point behind the brow, going to the back of the brain, to the pineal, and then expanding towards the space around us, traveling to all the stars. We become like a sun, shining its radiance in every direction. And we put into our imagination that its rays are just like our unconsciousness. And we feel very big, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, until our consciousness has traveled without any limitation to the outermost edges of the universe. It goes out and out as we take the limits off it, and it goes between all the stars and on until all the stars are just points of light in our own consciousness. We experience superspace, that state of expansion which is constantly expanding the universe so that everything is part of the original expanded nucleus. The nucleus of our being is the seed, with all the worlds inside it. All the universes are in it, just as an egg contains all the beautiful colors of the peacock's tail in the yolk. So are all the suns and stars of millions of universes unfolding, one within the other, inside the nucleus. We become it. The expansion of our consciousness becomes pure like empty space as it radiates from the cave of Brahma. We feel an internal pressure building up inside us, which we can send out as a wave of consciousness through space. We can do this exercise any time we feel anxiety or whenever we feel tired. If we tune in, we can make a tone of Om come into the mind. As our consciousness expands, we can hear this tone, not like something we hear from outside, but only with the mind alone. This sound is the sound of the cosmic heart vibrating in the cave of Brahma. This is the first step in Roomph Roomph yoga. We can repeat its stages anywhere at any time, whilst waiting for a bus, whilst sunbathing on the beach, or when you're about to get into some trouble. When you hear the sound inside your head, you need not worry about anything. We must practice this every day, making it shorter and shorter each day, so that we can bring this whole experience gradually into a flash, a moment of eternal time which quickens us. We do not try to savor it, to make it last a long time. We do not try to indulge or to hang on to it. We give it away as fast as it comes. We don't keep it for ourselves, because it is not something we are getting from anywhere else but ourselves. To speed it up and have it flowing continuously, we must keep giving it away, so that more will flow out from an inexhaustible supply within us. We never stop practicing this, and we never even miss one day to speed it up so that it becomes continuous. Your mind keeps going to it, and your heart longs and yearns for it more and more until you fall in love with it. You want to experience this timeless state in which the whole universe becomes a rapid expansion of pure consciousness. We hold our mind clear of anything which does not add to this expansion. We do not think about it, because to introduce thoughts at this stage will bring you right down. No concepts, no one thinking about what's happening, no ramblings or musings or thinking about anyone else or even yourself. You are pure experience of expansion. If you think of anything else, you can forget this whole exercise and go back to square one. It is that subtle and tricky that if you have even one thought of your mother, your brother, or your boyfriend, you will not be able to go on to the next step, to the big time stuff. After all, you're only Brahman thinking about expansion and the created universe swelling up from the small nucleus. The big, big Brahman is still waiting for you to get really big, till you blow your mind completely and go beyond all thoughts of bigness, and bigger. Brahman is so big, you must be kidding yourself if you think you know what big is. Every day you must stretch yourself and make any idea you have of consciousness bigger and bigger, and do it faster and faster, so you can get to the real stuff quicker. We do not wallow around in the fuzzy mind thinking about your navel, or thinking about our breath or our body. Get on with it. Expand now, bigger. Come on, you can be bigger than that. Why do you always think you've gone as far and as big as you can? Now, get really big and surprise yourself. Just when you feel you are really big, there is a bigger Brahman waiting for you, and he never stops getting bigger, so you can never really catch up. This is how you should feel all the time, all day long, every minute. And when you do, you will know that you've been doing this exercise properly. Yet, we are still only on the threshold of that one who created the universe and expanded it continuously. Who is Brahman, and what is he really? He can create anything from pure consciousness. He can reshape and recreate the universe at will. He can change himself in a flash and destroy the entire universe just with one thought. What will that thought of Brahman be? In his expanded state, the nucleus of all being is recreating itself over and over again, just like the original. But who is this one who can destroy the universe and create a new one? create a new body, create a new being, and experience itself in everything. Let us now use all our expanded consciousness and make it pure. That means put nothing in it, so that it is completely and absolutely transparent, like our consciousness traveling through empty space. We cannot see anything in it, and we can see straight through its pure transparency. No thoughts can be in it to muddy it up and make it impure. Where has the universe gone in this state? If you are doing this right, and you really are meditating on the pure stuff, then there is no Brahman thinking about Brahman, no universe expanding, only pure consciousness, contemplating itself, empty and transparent, yet full of reality and the truth of self-existence. Yet timeless and beyond thought lies the creator of consciousness itself, the supreme drug and intoxicant, the stuff on which the saints get drunk and go out of their minds, become anything and everything, and know the mind of everyone and anyone, because they are not separate from anyone. Let us contemplate that which is beyond all imaginings and words, and rest in the eternal silence with its unlimited presence. Now, practice this every day. Stay as long as you like in this space. There is nothing more to do. Only one thing remains: what to do with pure consciousness when you have it. What is there to do with it when it is everything already? Expansion, contraction, they are the same to pure consciousness. The non-existent is an illusion, for nothing else exists except the truth of pure consciousness. It is self-existence, requiring no other to affirm it or recognize it. It is never created, and therefore it never dies. It is the very ground of all existence. But what to do with it? What is it for? It does not matter, for in this state there is no matter, no body, no creation, no energy, no mind, no being, only pure existence.